Hey family, welcome back to the Explosive Christians podcast. Here in the Explosive family, we pride ourselves as being thinkers, mavericks, somebody who's willing to go beyond the conventional norm and journey onto the expansion of our minds. This is the beginning of wisdom, part 2. Can you do me a quick favor if you're listening? Hit the follow or the subscribe button. It would really help to grow our explosive family. The last time, we touched on Proverbs 9 verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The foundation for most Christians, when it comes to wisdom, is the Book of Proverbs. As Bible enthusiasts, we know it to be our go-to when we desire insight. And it was written predominantly by the wisest man to ever live, King Solomon, son of David. There's no ways we cannot talk about wisdom without talking about King Solomon. Brasoli knew what to do. He knew the game of wisdom. Now, what many others don't know is that this isn't the only book that he wrote. He laid out his wisdom for us in many others. Granted, the book I will mention now, it is not believed that it was written by King Solomon himself, but it was an exhortation from his collection of teachings, written by a Greek-speaking Jew many years later in the 1st century. Now, I personally don't believe that, but hey, this is what I say, is that any wisdom that you take from the world outside of the Bible should always be taken with a pinch of salt. But without further ado, the Book of Wisdom, or the Wisdom of Solomon, is a 19-chapter piece of work broken down into 3 parts. The first, dealing with righteousness and immorality. The second is all about the nature of wisdom. The third is wisdom's role in the early history of Israel. As I studied this ancient text, I tackled part 2, the nature of wisdom. I stumbled on a verse that piqued my interest. When I first looked at it, the following verse, it made it seem like it was a contradiction to the Bible. Let me read it so you'll understand. Chapter 6, verse 16 to 21. For she goeth about seeking, such are worthy of her, sheweth herself favorably unto them in the ways, and meeteth them in every thought. For the very beginning, the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline, and the care of discipline is love. And love is keeping of her laws, and giving heed unto her laws is the assurance of incorruption. And incorruption maketh us near unto God. Verse 20. Therefore, the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. If your delight be then in thrones and scepters, O ye kings of the people, honor wisdom, that ye may reign for evermore. The very true beginning of wisdom is the desire of discipline. Now, doesn't that sound like a direct contradiction to our precious Proverbs 9 verse 10? At a first glance, maybe it sounds like you want to scrutinize this verse. The disciplined heart is the fear of the Lord when you really look into it. See, what does it mean to have a desire for discipline? Well, to be disciplined is to follow a code, not just rules and regulations, but a code deep embedded in yourself, a moral and ethical, a composition of your value system. What do you desire for yourself? Do you want to have the ideal body for yourself? Do you want to be a better husband or wife? Do you want to be a successful entrepreneur? Maybe for you, it is to be the highest achiever in your company. Or maybe you just want a deeper, intimate relationship with your Holy Father. This builds into your value system and your deep desires for your life. When you identify them, you build habits around them, and those habits develop to a desire to keep the discipline of your value systems. When you take care of your habits with discipline, you attract love. Love for yourself, love for what you do, and you attract the love of God in your life. Having the desire of discipline brings an incorruptible self that Yahweh can draw closer to. In essence, when we seek wisdom, as the wisdom of Solomon says, we start at discipline. Then we find love, and love brings an incorruptible self, and the incorruption brings us near to the Lord, who freely gives us wisdom, as James 1 verse 5 says. So, the beginning of wisdom is, as the Bible says, the fear of the Lord and the knowledge of the Holy One. But how do we fear Him? How do we gain the knowledge of Him? It is through the first action of keeping discipline based on your value system. The very true beginning of wisdom is the desire of discipline. This is not a contradiction, but rather a guide map, a plan of action, in order for us to fear Him. Some would say that is just to have reverence of Him. But really, it is to keep your value system aligned with His will for us. The Book of Wisdom's beginning and Proverbs' beginning is simply the same coin viewed from different sides. Hey family, just a quick one. If you're keen on learning about the financial markets or trading with me in the LMG virtual trading room, hit me up on the Patreon page for as low as $33 or 500 Rand a month for the South African listeners. You can get weekly trade signals. Send me a DM if you need more information on IG. All the links are in the description. Thanks. Alright, now you understand the concept. How do we obtain this wisdom that bringeth down the kingdom? As the book says, King Solomon's descendant, many years later, taught, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven." This is none other than Jesus Christ. Let's say you have a desire to be a great leader in your organization, and your desire comes from a place that you want to be the great executor. You want God's divine wisdom to help you in your execution of your duties. You want to be the top guy. You want to be the guy that everybody knows that when he gets the job, when he gets the account, he's going to execute and he's going to do it so well. It first starts with the desire for yourself. Who do you want to be? What type of man or woman do you want to be? Do you want to be a disciplined man or woman? Do you want to be a disciplined CEO, manager, employee? Discipline, as stated, is the habits that we create that align with our value systems. Now, the questions that you ask yourself is, what does a good leader do daily? What information does a good leader consume? And how does a good leader make a decision? Once you have the answers for those questions, you build habits that contribute to you being a good leader. It could be reading business, communications, or leadership books. Maybe it's understudying a leader that you admire. It is creating a rule that you can never be indecisive and always make decisions. Right or wrong, but you know you gotta make the decision. In the case that you have cared for your discipline and you've executed your discipline, you have now invited love into your life. The love for your work, because man, you gotta love what you do. You gotta love what you do. What's the point of doing it if you don't love it? And what's the point of being disciplined if you don't love it? That's why most employees are not disciplined. The average 9-to-5 worker, they're not disciplined. They do it because they feel they have to, but not because they love it. So you have to love what you do. And once you love what you do, you'll be able to create those systems, those habits, the discipline around it. And once you have created the discipline, you become incorruptible. When you become incorruptible, because of your schedule, because of your routine, you know that you gotta read your book. You know you gotta wake up at this time. You know that you gotta make those thousands of calls. You know that you got to cold call, you got to do the emails, you know you got to hit your sales targets, and you go there every day disciplined with your sales target. You invite incorruption. There's no way that the enemy can come and enter now, because he can't. Where's the room? Where's the room to enter? Because of your incorruption, you've invited another form of love. Not just for your work, but you invited the love of God into your life. Now tell me, when you're so incorruptible, how does God not draw closer to you? How does He not give you more knowledge? How does He not give you more wisdom? How does He not give you more ability to execute? There's a saying that I love that Eric Thomas, a motivational speaker, says. Execution is worship. When you're executing, you're in worship. And when you're executing in purpose, things that are aligned to what God's will is for your life, you are in constant worship. To execute, to be disciplined in your execution, is worshiping of God. How does that not bring you closer to God? How does that not bring the kingdom of heaven down to earth? How does that not give you wisdom? So family, if you desire wisdom, let her meet you in your thoughts. Seek her daily, that you may live and prosper in the will of God. Now family, I want to reaffirm that you are God's special weapon, formed from His love for His kingdom work. You are an explosive Christian. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please rate, review, follow us, subscribe, wherever you're listening to this from. Follow us on our socials. The links are in the description. Have a great one, guys.